Hey boys and girls, welcome to 6th grade physical science, and today's standard is to investigate and communicate ways to manipulate applied frictional forces to improve movement of objects on various surfaces. We're going to talk about shoes primarily for our focus today. So let's first define friction. Friction is a force that opposes or acts against a motion when two surfaces rub against each other. The luge is a type of sled. The rider exerts a force with their arms to get the luge moving. There is little friction between the luge runner and the ice. When the rider wants to stop, they pull up on the runners and put their feet down. The increased friction stops the luge. So you can see by the pictures here, the luge is a very fast moving sledding event in the Olympics, and it's competed all around the world. And the sled has what they refer to as runners, and that's the contact to the ice. And those are slick and those are sharp. And this way it eliminates friction so the luge can move extra fast. Well, when it is time for that luge riders race to end, they have to be able to slow down. So in order to do that, there is a section that they pull up on the sled, and they put their feet down, and just that dragging force applies a friction and it slows them down. So we're going to focus on shoes. Everybody wears shoes, and shoes are what are not only protecting our feet, but there's so many different types of shoes to be used on so many different types of surfaces because of friction. So examples of ways to manipulate the applied frictional forces to improve movement of shoes on various surfaces. In this particular picture, I have what is basically an industry shoe. So these are shoes that are used for lots of different professions. I listed a few examples: hotels, medical fields, restaurants, custodials, movers, etc. And this particular brand of shoe, this SR Max, actually has some pretty cool technology to their shoe, and you can check that out on their website. I listed that link on this for you as well. So let's talk about track shoes and different types of shoes used for running. So examples here, if you look on my track shoes, there's 4 different shoes, and they have spikes. And the spikes they have little ends with little screws, and you thread them into the shoe. And there's different numbers of spikes, and they're used for different types of races or different types of events in track. So there's like a sprinter spike, and that's for a runner who needs to be able to run super fast. But if they had on shoes that didn't have the spikes, they could slip and fall on the track. So they actually want to have more friction so that when they push off with their foot, they cannot slip, and therefore they'll push harder and they'll run faster. And then there are spikes for long distance runners. So those are going to be for track runners who run like the mile or the 2 mile. And then there are special track spikes for our jumpers. There's triple jump, long jump, pole vault, high jump, and they all have a different type of shoe as well, because those athletes need to be able to jump, but they're also still running. They have to have a running start before they do their events. And then there's also a cross-country spike. So cross-country running is out on fields or in grass, and those type of runners need a different type of spike. Those spikes typically are a lot longer. Track spikes are about 1/4 of an inch, and cross-country spikes are almost a 1/2 inch long. So here's some more examples of some additional shoes that you probably have worn before for different activities: soccer cleats, baseball cleats, and football cleats. And if you look at all of them, they have some similarities, but they also have some differences based on what they're being used for. So soccer cleats are used on either a turf or outside grass. They do not have a metal cleat like a baseball cleat does. Neither do football cleats. And those sports are more contact than baseball sport would be. And so there's probably some safety reasons there why they can't have metal. If you notice, the baseball cleats have metal, and those athletes are typically standing in grass and or dirt. And so that's probably one of the other reasons why their type of cleat is different. Let's go to the next one. So this here is my tires. So tires, bike tires, car tires, heavy machinery tires, there's lots of different types of tires and lots of different types of tread. And that's what we call the little pieces. If you look at the images, you can see that the different tread on the different tires looks different. And that is because it's used for different purposes. I really like the bicycle picture, because you can look at the different types of tire tread and think about what those surfaces would be like and why that tread is best fit for that surface. Same thing with the tires with the different roads. It shows like an icy road, it shows a dirt road, it shows like the highway, and then it shows maybe just a general road with some curves, maybe not a fast lane road. And you can see just the different tire treads that would be necessary for those surfaces, and that's so that those cars can travel safely. And then I have the industrial tires, the turf tires, and the agricultural tires. So you can get an idea of, well, those are all similar wheels, but they're used on different surfaces. Therefore, they have a different type of tire. And that is because of the friction for all of these between the wheel surface and the surface it's on. That will either improve it, or it could slow it down. It could cause it to get stuck. So all of those are things that have to be thought about when it comes to applying frictional forces to different